Hello everybody and welcome to another Black Ops Cold War video. We're going to be talking about my overall in-depth thoughts and opinions on the game, and yeah, just kind of get into it. So the game was an alpha, and I think a lot of people took it as a beta, which is kind of fair because we haven't really experienced many alpha quote-unquote games from Call of Duty. It's always just been betas, and whenever they say report feedback, it's very minor stuff. It's never something along the lines of this is a game-breaking feature or this is just completely out of place, animations are managed, so on and so on. So when people give feedback, it's generally just weapon tuning feedback, never really anything more in depth than that. Sometimes it's like, oh, this animation looks weird at the very most, but overall I feel like it's very short and concise with what needs to be changed from the beta. So I feel like people took this as like a beta feedback thing, which it really wasn't. This game was more unpolished than we're probably used to, so I feel like people probably didn't give enough feedback. On the other hand though, this was an older build Treyarch has made adjustments to and everything, so we don't even know if our feedback was taken into account. It could have just been a way to test performance on the older generation hardware like the PS4 and Xbox One, because these are running those systems as well. And I can tell you, running on an original PS4, that thing had some issues. There was a lot of frame rate issues, there was lag in certain times. Loading times were very long for me. I'm not sure how they were on PS4 Pro or anything, but yeah, loading times were really long for original PS4 like I had. So it could have just been a way to test that, not really care about the feedback. I mean, the next day they said oh, we took all your feedback into consideration. Now we're already starting to make changes, when I don't think it's even possible. Let's say there was 1 million players. Again, these are rough numbers. Let's say there was 1 million players and 500,000 of them, so about half the players gave feedback. Going through that amount of data in a day just seems unrealistic, so I don't think that's actually what they did. I think it was more just to test hardware, test skill-based matchmaking, test tons of different things. I don't think it was really for general feedback, because I feel like they fixed all the issues people had problems with since it was an earlier build. They said around that time when the gameplay for that came out that they already adjusted the 74U. This is the same build as that, slightly updated. So anyway, how was the game? The gameplay actually played really well. There wasn't a ton of complaints. Graphics. So the graphics aren't like Modern Warfare, but it's not garbage. It just needs to be a little bit polished, obviously, which I'm sure they're gonna take care of that. I know a lot of people were complaining that this game just looked terrible or it looked like a mobile game, which I really don't understand. I understand sometimes the resolution might have been not 1920 by 1080. It might have been 1600 by 900 or whatever, but it wasn't anything lower than that. So I don't really understand all the complaints unless they were running at 720p, maybe. I don't know. Some animations didn't blend super well into others. At a distance, things didn't render until you were up close to it, and then it was still, you had to wait a couple seconds for it to load. I actually have footage of that. Here it is. Yeah, let's see what's going on. Yeah, graphics aren't as good as Modern Warfare, but I don't mind them. It just took a minute, okay? Definitely some issues with certain things, but again, that is it is running on a little bit older hardware when this is supposed to be a next-gen quote-unquote game. So, of course, things like that are probably pretty common. That happens on PC as well. Overall, I think the graphics situation isn't much of an issue. I think a lot of it's going to be touched up and fixed by the time the game is in beta, if not obviously by launch. Hitboxes were really all over the place. There was a ton of shots I personally noticed where I didn't even hit the person, but it connected, or I was aiming at the person and it definitely should have connected and didn't. There was a lot of issues of that. A low headshot in the neck kind of area, it still kind of was a headshot. Things like that. It was kind of buggy. Treyarch hitboxes are never really great though. The maps overall were pretty good. I wasn't a fan of combined arms in the beginning, but after playing it, it was a lot more fun. I saw a lot of people kind of complaining about that mode. I feel like they probably didn't play it a lot, because jumping back and forth, you play 6v6 combined arms, 6v6 combined arms, I can understand how that might not feel great. I spent a day playing just combined arms by itself. I enjoyed it a lot more. I'm still not a fan of tanks, but they're easy to avoid. It's not a big issue. They are kind of annoying though. I do agree with a lot of people are saying to add an option to spawn on teammates or flags that you've capped, your team has capped. I feel like they should just have it as an option, or you can just spawn on a default location. So there's a default spawn, or you can pick flags. I feel like that would just be a lot better. Similar to how Black Ops 4 had the spawning system for if there's attack beacon. Because I like the default spawns in that map. I can understand how people don't. I completely understand what people mean though. Spawn traps were pretty heavy on that, and I think that would mitigate that problem. So I think that's probably the best way that they go about it. I'm not sure if they're going to implement that, but you know, I think that would be good. Overall, the 6v6 maps were pretty good as well. Miami was the only map I wasn't a huge fan of. That seemed more suited towards select game modes, and it'll probably be a lot better in one live game modes like VIP, S&D, whatever else they throw in there. The map was definitely like a more slow-paced, tactical kind of style map, similar to Modern Warfare style maps. I'm personally more of a fan of maps that are suited for every game mode, not just one specific one. So I wasn't a huge fan of that map in particular just for that reason. I feel like Satellite and Moscow were pretty good. Moscow seemed very much like a Black Ops 4 style map, which that I mean it is very generic, but it was very fun. In Black Ops 4, I felt like a lot of the maps were very samey. Like, I didn't feel like a lot of them had like character to them. Not an issue, but hopefully just not a lot of the maps aren't like that. Because Satellite had a lot of character and was very unique, and I like that style. And Miami has its own uniqueness with the neon and everything. So hopefully the other maps are really good. And I think there's going to be more during the beta, if I'm correct. So that would be cool to see. That might give us some better idea of how the rest of the maps are going to play. Overall, I thought the weapon balance was pretty okay. Everyone is complaining about snipers, and they said they're going to quote-unquote balance them. So I'm expecting them to nerf them in some sort of way. Seeing as they said they were like buffed up. I'm not a huge fan of Treyarch and snipers because Black Ops 4 had a really bad time with snipers on PC specifically. So I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. I hope they don't nerf them to the ground. I guess we'll see by the beta, but I'm kind of not optimistic about it. Personally, I thought they were in a really decent spot. The Pellington got a decent amount of hit markers. Reminds me a lot of the Outlaw from Black Ops 4. If you played Black Ops 4 at all, the Outlaw was very fast. It was more just like a upper chest headshot weapon. Lower chest was always hit markers, and same thing with stomach. And the LW3 was kind of weak still too. I think stomach shots were hit markers. I'm not quite sure, but it seemed like they were, so both of them didn't seem overpowerful. I feel like the damage is really perfect on them, so hopefully they don't change that at all. Honestly, the only things I would say to do to them is just add more sway. If anything, like more like scope sway and stuff when you're ADSing. Not the Black Ops 1 style of sway where it's like all over the place, you can't fucking aim at all and you just stay like with your breath held for like a minute or whatever it was. Like, don't do that obviously, but just a little bit of sway might make it a little bit better. Tone down the lethality of snipers a little bit and cause skill to be using them, which is perfectly fine. Or add a small amount of flinch to all scoped weapons, because right now they don't have any flinch. I can see that as possibly fixing it, as long as it's not like Modern Warfare style flinch where you fucking do a backflip when you get shot with a scoped weapon, like just a little bit. I really don't think they should touch damage, fire rate, ADS speed, and all of that is like pretty perfect. Now with the other red guns, 74U is obviously like the meta dominant weapon, but they already said they're going to be fixing that. The other weapon I really was actually a fan of was the SKS. I think it was called like the Type 63 or something. Type 8363, something like that. It was super fun, and I'm really expecting a nerf with it. If not, then that's very surprising. It had some of the same issues as Snipers does. It has a quick ADS and high damage, but it has an uncapped fire rate. Since I was using mouse and keyboard, I could tap fire that thing all day, no problem. So if you threw a scope on that thing, you could just decimate on any map with like any sort of range. But I was holding a spawn trap on Armada, and the enemy team was really mad about that. I heard them in voice chat every single time, like, what the fuck is this? I was out sniping the snipers because I could shoot faster than them, and I just kept getting headshots on them, and it was just insta-killing them basically. I think it was like a 2-shot. It's a 3-shot kill to anywhere else in the body with it, so it's just ridiculous. So I wouldn't be surprised if that gets more recoil or something. That thing had like none. But overall, other weapon balancing was pretty fine. I didn't really see any other issues. So overall the spawns were pretty good. Combined Arms had some spawn issues, like we said earlier. If they changed the flag thing, I think that would probably be better. But 6v6 seemed to have really good spawns overall. I think there was like one instance of me spawning in front of an enemy. Grenades were really, really weird. They had a really long pull of the pin animation, which was really, really weird. So it kind of like, I mentioned in my previous video, like when you want to go throw it, if you want to go throw a grenade fast, then it's a problem because the animation will be playing and you can't really do anything in that time. I'm guessing that is in the game to mitigate grenade spam. So I feel like it's a fine way to do that. Maybe just speed up the animation just a slight amount. Side note to that, C4 seemed really, really weird. I did this last year with the Modern Warfare beta, and I'll do it during the beta as well. Just to double check it again. I really like C4 shotting, which is you throw a C4 in air, snipe it, and it explodes. Fucking hard to do, so it's not really something that's done. I tried doing that in the alpha just a couple times, and I shot the C4, but it ricocheted off, which was really weird. So I don't know if like C4 has armor until it's armed possibly, but It was really weird. Also, you can't stick C4 to the bottom of boats when you're underwater, which I thought was kind of weird. So, two little weird things about C4. And might retest them when the beta's out in a couple weeks. So we're getting on to the really fun thing, skill-based matchmaking. The thing that was trending on Twitter because it's so controversial. So for me, skill-based matchmaking took effect, I'd say, after day 1. Every game I was playing, I was getting around like a 1 to 3 KD, I'd say. It was fluctuating in between there. It wasn't consistent. Average throughout the whole course of the alpha, I probably had like a 1.5 KD, let's just say. Pretty small sample size, not a ton of matches, but overall I was doing pretty well. And I was sniping 99% of the time. There was like a couple matches where I just threw on something else just for testing. But overall, played relatively well. So Saturday night I grouped up with a couple friends, just decided to play. And I could definitely tell the lobbies were a little bit different. They were a lot harder to play against. I was doing progressively worse throughout that over the course of the weekend and everything, and going into Sunday. It was the last day of the alpha, and I decided to play a little bit before it ended and everything. So I got out around like noon, played for 40 minutes, and the whole time it was absolutely terrible. So I really had no enjoyment whatsoever of it. It really showed. I was fighting literally the best snipers I've ever fucking seen, like on Sunday. It was literally insane. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't leave my spawn kind of thing, and the fact that I played several games, leaving every single lobby, and it was just consistently the same thing, it was just not enjoyable whatsoever. Skill-based matchmaking is good for certain things. I don't think it's really fitting for casual Call of Duty players. Me specifically, I just like playing Call of Duty and just chilling, sniping people, not really caring about KD as much. If I do well, cool, but it's not my goal. I'm not trying to go on high kill streaks. I'm just trying to like do some cool shots. That's really all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to do anything insane. And the fact that Modern Warfare, for example, I have no motivation to play that game just because of how the matchmaking is in it. I'm punished for trying to snipe in any sort of capacity, and I really don't want to be the same thing with this game because I really enjoy sniping on this game, and I enjoyed sniping in Modern Warfare, and it's really a shame because I want to enjoy the new content that we're going to be getting soon, but I feel like it's just going to be very abysmal to play with. Overall, I really hope that they tune that down during the beta, do more testing with it, like very much scale it down. I feel like competitive play would be a lot smarter to use that kind of software. It's not really up to us, sadly. It is up to Activision, Treyarch. That could really break this game, sadly. This game actually has a ton of potential. I can see this game being one of the best, but if it's not handled well, it's just not handled well. That's just how it is. Every game has potential. Modern Warfare had potential, but they really didn't want to capitalize on people, like what people wanted, and they want to keep to their vision, which is perfectly fine. People like Modern Warfare. It's a good game. I love the mechanics of the game. I don't agree with a lot of the implementations of the minimap and other various things, but overall the game is super solid, and I respect it for that. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below of the Cold War Alpha, and I'm excited for the beta. I'm hoping that skill-based matchmaking is tuned down or taken out for that, just for testing, because, like I said, this game has a lot of potential. If everything's done well, this game could be really, really good. But time will tell, depends on how they implement things, and if they want to listen to their community or not. Or if Activision wants them to let them listen to their community, I should say. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of Cold War down in the comments. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll answer them in a future video. Take care, everybody. Peace.